I'm sorry, guys, that I'm late, and it's okay because I've been studying an earthquake and a volcano about to erupt. Let me get this camera right. Um, yeah, a lot of stuff happening. I'm trying to get my bearings straight before I even talk. A lot of stuff happening. Uh, we've got a two nukes just arrived in Alaska, which, if you haven't been studying my blue and white map, well, that's part of it. Um, let's see if my camera's working before I go. Okay. We're going to talk about, wow, breaking news again. Golly, I can't get out of the breaking news. What is going on? We'll see it later. Okay. All right. Let's see if anybody's on there. We'll see it later. Okay. Nope. Nobody's on there yet. Okay. And that's okay because you don't have to be here live if you don't want to. I mean, your comments down below is after the show, anyways. They're going to use the nukes on the West Coast and probably the East Coast, but they're only doing it. They're doing everything man-made, folks. They're using wormwood as the warning on everything. Somebody texted me right now. Thanks for the like. All right. Looks like Hurricane Lane is going to head toward Hawaii. So we're not done with the tsunami yet. Still can be done in Hawaii heading toward the West Coast. So we're not out of the woods yet. And I don't know what you think that I put a date on this about the West Coast going. I told you between June through August. Now they extended it to October, so we're not out of the woods yet. I'm hoping I'm wrong, but signs are saying that I'm not. So, all right, let's go to the news on this and updates. Experts expecting a freeze warning this year. Signs of eruption of supervolcano at Yellowstone still. We've been getting, we even just had an earthquake 2.0 right there at the geyser. So that was just a couple hours ago. But here we go with further ado and enjoy the race. I'm doing the sandbagger. I'm starting from last place again. But enjoy the race and the real news. I am disguising myself on purpose. So if you're listening to the news and watching the race, you know why, because it's real news, not fake. While you're sitting there watching the stupid crap that you're seeing on Fox, NBC, and ABC, and CBS, I'm beating their ass with the real news. Enjoy.
High-tech imaging has made it possible for scientists to visualize the Earth drained of its oceans. This reveals that these deep trenches outline the edge of a giant rock slab, or plate, that makes up the entire floor of the Pacific Ocean. This huge Pacific plate is one of 14.
By the way, that plate at the Pacific Ocean is what the nuclear warhead is going to hit to trigger the earthquake. That's the two nukes that I was just telling you about that just arrived in Alaska. So everything is set up for Obama to come back. If a catastrophe happens and Trump and the vice president and the whole Congress gets taken out, guess who gets to come back? None other than Barack Hussein Obama, because he was the last president. All right. And he's already agreed.
Subduction occurs where this plate rubs against one of its neighbors, producing the line of volcanoes which extends all around the Pacific. A network of these GPS antennas across North America provides evidence for the monumental forces which power the Ring of Fire. These phenomenal convection currents force the Pacific Plate into its neighbors, driving the process of subduction. The investigation into the forces that drive the Ring of Fire has now found subduction trenches that reveal the shape of the entire Pacific Plate, and GPS data providing evidence for the convection currents which force this giant plate against its neighbors. It is this movement of the entire Pacific Plate and the resulting subduction of the seafloor down the trenches that shapes and builds the Ring of Fire. But one final mystery remains. Vast sections of the seafloor are constantly being destroyed. But despite millions of years of subduction down these trenches, the planet's seafloors have never been eradicated. The geology detectives can now reveal why. All around the Ring of Fire, enormous volcanoes dot a landscape warped by violent earthquakes. Geologists could only assume one thing. Somewhere, far out in the ocean, volcanic activity must be creating new seafloor rocks, replacing those destroyed here during subduction.
Oceanic crust is constantly being formed out of the mid-ocean ridges. That crust moves away from those ridges toward the edge of the continents where we're located now.
In this way, the seafloor is constantly renewed, replacing material destroyed by subduction at the edges of the ocean. These mid-ocean ridges exist at the bottom of every ocean on Earth. They provide a never-ending supply of new rock, keeping alive the entire plate tectonic cycle.
Well, this is a planetary scale process. This is the planet itself circulating, and the rock and the magma from deep inside the Earth welling up to the surface, forming this crust. And then that crust dives back down into the Earth at the subduction zones, at the trenches. And it's mixed back into the solid Earth.
So great is the power driving this system that experts see no end to the constant movement of plates around the planet.
The forces involved with plate tectonics caused by the heating from the inner core of the Earth is so astronomical that there is nothing that will stop it.
It seems like the Ring of Fire will go on for some period of time. It looks as if we've been having subduction here underneath southern Alaska on the order of 200 million years, and it looks like there's no evidence that's going to stop anytime soon.
But over the coming billions of years, the ongoing movement of plates will redraw the map of the world.
The Pacific Plate is moving, and things on it ride with the plates that are being subducted. So, for example, the Hawaiian Islands are moving up here to Alaska. Parts of California are moving up here to Alaska. Baja California is moving north here to Alaska. So, apparently, Alaska's a popular place to be. It'll be the resting place of all these things.
So the map of the Pacific will slowly change, driven by the immense force of subduction. This is the real story of the Ring of Fire. Subduction creates the magma plumes which build the region's explosive volcanoes. Subduction powers the violent megathrust earthquakes that shake the region, leveling whole cities in seconds and causing killer tsunamis.
This process of subduction just releases an enormous amount of energy through both earthquakes, through building these mountains, through volcanoes. It's just really inconceivably huge.
This is what makes the Ring of Fire the most geologically active and most deadly place on the entire planet.
You see the whole picture of creation and destruction of a plate in the Pacific Ocean. And the Ring of Fire is boundary of that cycle, and it's the place where all the destruction is happening.
Geology detectives have now pieced together the evidence for what makes the Ring of Fire so dangerous and discovered what powers it. Violent eruptions of explosive blocky lava build the Ring of Fire's famous volcanoes. Mixed rocks from the seafloor found miles inland are evidence for the process of subduction that builds the volcanoes. Raised shorelines are evidence for giant megathrust earthquakes caused deep underground by subduction. And GPS plots provide evidence for the immense convection currents deep in the earth which drive the entire system. These giant forces have built the Ring of Fire.
The energy that drives this whole convective system is really without parallel on the Earth. There's nothing else that we can compare to as far as the amount of energy and the force that moves the continents around, compresses them against one another, drags one down beneath the other. Really just awesome.
Scientists have warned that a major tectonic shift at Yellowstone supervolcano will spark a massive eruption that will devastate the planet. As the world's volcanoes began to wake up, experts have turned their attention to the unusual activity going on at Yellowstone. Reports of increased activity above and below the surface at the U.S. supervolcano has set off alarm bells for those who are monitoring the site for a potential eruption. Multiple earthquakes at the national park, followed by a fourth eruption of its usually dormant geyser, has led to speculation about the world's largest supervolcano. The supervolcano sits on the Pacific Ring of Fire, which is responsible for earthquakes and volcanic activity along the Pacific Ocean, most recently including Hawaii and Indonesia. The geyser steamboat, which had been dormant since 2014, suddenly erupted on March 15th, April 19th, April 27th, and May 4th. Now, according to Fox News, a swarm of more than 200 earthquakes struck Yellowstone over 2 weeks, which indicated a shifting of the major tectonic plates beneath the Earth's surface. A Fox reporter said 2 out of 3 warning signs of an imminent eruption has caused panic among visitors to the site. Those warning signs include increased seismic activity and an increased gas outlet at the surface. While seismic activity and gas outlet has increased during 2018, this has not been to a significant extent and without any sign of ground deformation. Seismologists admit that an eruption could cause mass destruction, but experts at the National Earthquake Information Center in Golden have played down fears. Harley Benz, a U.S. Geological Survey seismologist who monitors the site, said locals would have plenty of warning time, adding that it could be several weeks or months before it erupted. Quote, "It would just get more and more intense in terms of seismic activity, so if it's going into an eruptive phase, we would likely know way ahead of time." The increased activity has also set off fears for the 800-mile chain of 13 volcanoes in the nearby vicinity along the west coast. Liz Wisby, a geologist at the U.S. Geological Survey Cascades Volcano Observatory, said, quote, "There's lots of anxiety out there. They see destruction and people get nervous." Michael Pollan, head scientist at the USGS Yellowstone Volcano Observatory in Washington State, said a major quake was not on its way. He explained, "People tend to focus on the possibility of a huge eruption. When they do happen, they're going to shake the region pretty severely, so people should be prepared for that. When the supervolcano next erupts, the expected consequences will see ash devastate the majority of the U.S. according to Live Science." What do you think? Is an imminent eruption at Yellowstone coming in the near future? And are these scientists just feeding us a bunch of bull? Leave your comments below this video. Thanks for watching. Geophysical changes.
That is NWO Report Me, and he's right. This is what I'm finding out. Like I said, they're going to make these happen, just like the 9/11 plot. They're doing it on purpose, folks. They want your freedom. They want your freedom. Rothschild is not from the United States. George Soros is not from the United States, but they have bought us out. They have bought out our whole government. I'm just giving you heads up. You don't fight back, your fault. That's all I can say. Let's keep on.
The geological changes, astronomical changes, political changes, threat of war. All these factors are playing heavily upon people's minds today. The earthquake thing, I used to be able to predict them fairly accurately, between 70 and 90% on a given week, using data from the U.S. Naval Facility at Fenmark over in Monterey, California. They monitor very subtle changes in electric fields of the ocean and the air above the ocean, plus the sea surface temperature variation. And this allowed me to look at water coastlines all along the plate tectonic borders. And I determined back in 1996, when I started doing this, that you could see changes in the water surface temperature because of the electron flow over that area in the air. And it would make like a little butterfly yellow and blue wing type signature over where an earthquake was going to happen. And I perfected that technique over the years until 2005, when the Fenmark facility, the Navy, put up a new constellation of satellites and new programs on a new Cray computer. And they did not allow me to then access the files I had before to generate these reports. Strange enough, I was accurate enough that the Association of Island States, or island countries, if you wish, asked me to explain how to use it so that they could use it to predict tsunamis. Some of the information from Yellowstone Park, where we have the Yellowstone caldera. Since I think it was about February of last year, the government made all of the USGS employees, truck drivers, moving equipment in and out of the sensor ranges there. Everybody signed non-disclosure agreements with the government, facing penalties of cash fines and also imprisonment if they told what they're doing there in Yellowstone. And we had a geologist break silence. I won't name him, but anyway, they have been.
By the way, there's been some rumors that there was a volcano under California at Yosemite. That is a lie. It might be a bomb, but there's no volcano. So you can scratch that one out.
Running huge, like high volume internet lines from their sensors all over the Yellowstone Park area down into Texas. I think they may be now switching it over to the NSA facility in Utah. So catastrophic supervolcanic eruptions may be, several 100,000 years between times. But what they're doing now is they're measuring the increased appearance of helium, an isotope of helium gas, which was buried way down deep underneath the Yellowstone. And when that starts to release, it means that there's geological activity down there in a deeper pool of magma, which they have recently discovered. Well, the bottom line is we're going to see trouble with Yellowstone. We're going to see trouble with Lake Taupo, caldera down in North Island, New Zealand. Both of those are under severe stress from different types of tectonic plate movement, but they are both supervolcanoes. And Lake Taupo erupted last in 87 AD. It sent up so much ash from the southern hemisphere that the Chinese astronomers at that time recorded 3 days of darkness after the eruption down there. Now, USGS has been told not to panic people because it hurts real estate values and the economy if it gets too serious. But people who read between the lines will see that we're being warned by USGS, by drills and just kind of subtle warnings in the newspaper in California that earthquake activity and hence some volcanic activity is somewhat imminent, and they're trying to get people to gradually readjust their circumstance without causing a panic. Well, it's because the vent, or the new plasma pool they found deep down, has opened up a vent to the northwest, heading.
Anybody that tells you that this game is easy is the ones that downloaded the update 2018. Do not download the update of 2019 and you won't have an easy game. Look how hard this is, folks. I've got 7 wins, and I'm tied with Kyle Larson for the lead in the points. That's unbelievable. They're giving me the tie runner because I've got more wins. But look how hard this is. I've come from 7th place. I messed up at Dega. But I've been messing up a lot because I wanted to take out Kurt Busch and Kyle Busch, but and that's on purpose. Look how hard this is, folks. You, like I said, you download the update, you're gonna have an easy game. Don't download the update. If you download the update, you're gonna have an easy Mario Kart game, and I'll show you that on the next video. I'm gonna show you on the number 3 Camaro series. When you download the Camaro and the update, that's when you messed up. But anybody that says this AI is hard, easy, they got to be out of their nuts. Seriously. But I really appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for subscribing. You can see the points as I'm heading into Bristol. The schedule is so different on this one for the One Tough Customer series. But it was a good race. And if you not noticed, I didn't race with the 3 stages on this one. I call this the Winston Cup series. Y'all have a nice day. Y'all be safe. And thank you for subscribing, liking, and sharing. And be careful. The volcanoes they're gonna erupt. Japan's about to.